Paula from Desert Cat Creations. Great to see you again. Hopefully you guys will get these notifications and you will get to join me live. I have my light on today because it seems a little, it seems just a little dark in here today. So I'm going to try it with the light, but it causes the glare. So I'll put my glasses back on when I start making my project. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Missed you all on Sunday, but I was glad to see many of you on the Great Bead Extravaganza. And maybe some of you were also on the Virtually Evercrafting over at with Urban Beader. There was lots and lots going on. So I just posted my cards. Hopefully you got a chance to see them, and we're gonna make a project live today. I'm going to show you my pendant design using pink, gray, and coral, also for a child, so that was the extra added challenge for us today. I really enjoyed the Great Bead Extravaganza, and you'll see that my design today actually is a little bit of inspired by one of the projects that was shown this weekend by Humble Beads, Heather Powers over at Humble Beads. So part of her bracelet, I'm borrowing part of that design technique to make my pendant today. So I did watch a few things, didn't watch as much as I wanted. It was also my birthday weekend, so I did go out and celebrate, which meant I didn't get to watch some of the presentations live, but I do plan to go back and catch some of them. And I have not made anything with my kit that I bought. Matter of fact, when I flip the camera over, you'll probably see some of my rainbow beads from Stars Beads off to the side here. And I keep staring at them, and I will make a project. Finally got my gold wire out, since there's a lot of gold in that kit. Had to dig that out. So we'll be using some of that today. Thursday Sunday, there's a lot going on Sunday, so I may adjust the time because I know many of my followers will be watching the live sale over on Stars Beads page, so may do it a little later. I may go ahead and just jump on and do it real quickly. It'll be in the middle, which I don't expect any of you to watch me live, since if you're watching that, but I'll post once I figure out my schedule for Sunday. If you're out there, let me know. Let me know where you're coming in from. If you're catching the replay, then please let me know that too, because I love to know who's watching. Hey Lorraine, thanks for joining me. We're getting ready to make our pendant here in a minute, so hopefully you all had fun with the tutorial last week. I've loved seeing the few rings that have popped up, and I'll tell you, those things are addictive because they make up so quickly. I keep making more. And I've actually had some people ask me to make some for them, which I got to work on doing that. But hopefully you guys are having fun with it too. Please post them up in the group. There's still time to get in for the monthly drawing. Any post of designs that you're making, I would love to see in the group, and that'll, like I said, that'll get you in the drawing. We have a few new members in our group, so. If you guys are just joining us and confused to how this works, on Sundays I normally come on at noon Arizona time, which is Mountain Standard Time, which this time of year is Pacific. We don't go on daylight savings. And I will draw my cards for the week, and that's the project I will be making. Those of you who just recently joined and ordered your cards and haven't received them yet, you're welcome to make my project, or you're welcome to make anybody else's who posts their cards in the group, and just post it in there. Any posts that are in there by midnight on the 30th of April, you will get in the drawing for our April drawing. Otherwise, after that, it would be our May drawing. But I do give away prizes once a month, and all you have to do is post something. It doesn't matter. I mean, I want an item you made. I don't want you just posting a meme or something. But anyways, that's how it works, and we'll go through a little bit about the cards. Several of us have taken on the challenge to do this, the Bead Stash challenge every week, and right now we just have the 2 decks, but if you're a member of our group, you will be in the know when I make the next announcements of the next decks that will be coming out. So anyways, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And again, thanks for joining me. And I will flip my camera over so we can see what's going on. Hopefully you can all see. Looking forward, Lorraine, to seeing your kitty ring. It's always fun to see these designs. Lori just posted hers, so all of you that have ordered directly from me should have some kitty beads, which actually worked out perfect for this project. So anyways, just a reminder, here's our cards that we drew this week. Making a pendant, we're using pink, gray, and coral, and we're designing something for a child. So I don't know how many of you watched the Heather Powers over at Humble Beads. She made basically a beaded link. So using 1 piece of wire, and then she strung some seed beads on there to make a beaded link. And I thought it was a really clever way to use my color combination that I was required to use for this project. So I'm going to start with a short piece of wire, and I'm just using, it's about 2.5 inches. No reason other than I didn't want to make it too long, because since I'm making it for a child, my component needs to be a little bit on the petite side, right? So let me put my glasses back on now that the light's not glaring on my glasses. But the first thing I'm going to do is just make this into a link. So we'll, just put a wrapped loop on both ends of this piece of wire. I'm using just a 20 gauge artistic wire today. As you all know, I have a variety of, well, those who've been watching me know, I have a variety of brands of wire. Just, use whatever works for you. You can even buy, the copper wire that they sell at the hardware store, in 20 and 22 gauge. I might not use that for making ear wires, but it works fine for most other purposes. Or, buy your craft wire wherever you do your shopping. We work with a lot of wire in jewelry making. When I first started out, I will admit I was a little bit of a snob when it came to making things. And back then, sterling silver was a lot cheaper, and I used to pretty much make everything using sterling silver wire. But, you have to be real careful. You don't want to waste your sterling wire. These days, the price of silver is a little more expensive, so I am using craft wire for most of my designs, but in my little creatures that I make, I certainly don't use sterling silver on those. So craft wire works fine for most things. Like I said, I am still a little bit of a snob when it comes to my ear wires, though I do almost exclusively use either sterling or niobium, or if I'm using some that are not, that are base metal, I make sure that I buy them from a reliable source, so there's no lead in them, because you don't want somebody, having a reaction to your jewelry if you give it to them or sell it to them. So right now I made this little link, and the nice thing about wire, I didn't worry about, my rings facing the same direction, but I can twist it. And I can always adjust that later, which is why I don't concern myself too much about it. But there we go. We have a link with 2 wrapped ends. Keep this out. I don't need the rest of those. So now I'm going to take a a lighter weight light wire. I believe this is a 24 gauge. It was just laying around and obviously cut off from something else, so I can't guarantee it, but it seemed like it was a 22 gauge. I'm using a bead stopper just so I don't have to worry about my beads falling off. So what I'm going to do is just randomly, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way. I'm going to randomly just string these beads. I have a selection of size 6 or size 8, sorry, size 8 seed beads in an assortment of colors. So I have my gray, which I had to use. I have a few shades of pink, and then I have this kind of orangey pink, which I'm counting as coral. There's also kind of a really pale one that could also be coral. So I just want to make one comment on this. Use coral in your design. So I could make the choice there to use coral the color, or you know, something made out of coral. And the things made out of coral do come in a variety of colors, including even I have some blue sponge coral beads. I certainly have a lot of red, and I have some pinkish one, but I do love the kind of orangey pink coral color, which I wear a lot of. So again, this card can be coral itself, something made out of coral, or just something that's a coral color. Make the beads work with what you have in your stash, or what, you know, what kind of designs you want to make. I am randomly putting these beads on here, so they may double up, they may be next to each other, they may be random, but I'm going to just string a couple inches. I can always add more because my end of my wire is going to be open. So for this part, I would use, you know, probably a 24, especially with this size beads. You could certainly do it with smaller beads. I had an example, which this one I did with size 11 beads, but that's kind of the look we're going for here. You know, if you use bigger beads, which you could, I would say then you might be able to get by with like 22 gauge wire, but you want something that's flexible. You don't want anything too stiff. So I wouldn't use anything thicker than a 22 gauge. For those of you that aren't familiar with wire gauges, the higher the number, the thinner the wire. Hey Janelda, we're working on our pendant here today. Saw your post, and I enjoyed your dragonfly. That's always a fun design. Looks like I have a bead that does not have a hole in it, so to toss that one or figure out if I can get the hole cleared. But right now I'm just stringing some beads on here, and that might be enough. So if like I said, if anybody watched Heather Powers' designs, I'm making one of her beaded links, which she used in a bracelet. I'm going to use it to make a pendant. So now that I've had some beads on there, I'm going to wrap, do a couple of wraps on one end of this link. And what I want to do is have the end towards the middle, and then I'm just going to wrap like 2 or 3 times tightly, as tight as I can around here. You know, you can adjust it with your pliers, and then you can either trim off your end, or, you know, just wrap it just for a little extra security. You can wrap it around the end of your, or continue wrapping it around the wire.
until it gets tight. I don't have the patience to do that right now, so I'm going to trim it just so it's out of my way. But so I have like 3 wraps around, and like I said, I'm gonna just kind of squeeze this in tight so it's tight around my my wire. So now, you know, I want to slide the beads back down to this end, and you know, I just want to carefully, you may have to, you know, push the wire a little. It took a little practice to get the first wrap started on this. And then once you have it going, you know, you can work on making your kind of spiral down the wire here. And just, you know, as your beads run out, you get them all going. And, you know, you can always tighten it up. You don't want it too loose, but you can twist it and tighten it once you get the rest of your beads on there. So you could certainly do this with any kind of bead color combination, which is nice because it helps you make a little design element that just can add to your design. So once I get up here near the top, so, you know, I want to just make sure that it's filled in because I don't want, you know, a bunch of blank spaces in there. But it looks like that's where I'm going to end it. So now I'm just going to take the wire and I'm going to wrap it maybe like twice around here, just so that I can, that it stays tight. Trim it off. I'm going to use my narrow pliers to kind of tighten that up and tuck the end in. Don't want any sharp edges because, you know, again, I'm making this for a kid, right? So there's my beaded link using the different colors. So now I can put this on, you know, a necklace. Since it's a pendant, I think it needs to go on a necklace. I don't know that you can have a pendant on a, a bracelet. So that's something to think about, right? But, you know, I guess it becomes a charm as opposed to a pendant. So, you know, basically I have a link, and my thought is, you know, like when I did this, I could string, you know, like a fine chain on there. So since it's a child, I would probably make it, you know, from 14 to 16 inches or something. When I make things for children, which isn't that often, but I do have some younger nieces and nephews, I do like to make them adjustable, so that if it's something they really like, they can wear it as they grow and get bigger. But so that's how I made that link. But let me show you some variations on it, and we'll continue to make here in a minute. But this was the first one I made, and it's a little more ornate, but you know, I have a little teddy bear here. I had a gray heart. I had my coral bead just in case I didn't want to count that as coral. I had a coral colored check bead. But so I had some little dangles on there. So this one I just put on some fiber. But what I did was, you know, I tied down one end, and then the other end, I made this sliding end. So if they slide it all the way over, you know, it can be a short necklace that looks like it's doubled up. And then, you know, like I said, if they wanted to wear it a little longer or they had a bigger neck, they can adjust it however. So it was just one thought on the design style there. And then I made a second one. So this one I made it a little longer than this one I just made now. Now, what I could do is, since I made this, is I could make more than one and I could attach them, you know, and add more around the necklace. But I was thinking what I would do with this one is just, again, to kind of keep it dainty since it's for a kid, I have some pink tourmaline soft flex. So I was thinking I would just string it on that and then put a clasp on the back. So it won't be adjustable. So I probably want to make it, I'm going to go for like about 15 inches. But, oh, you know, I only got 2. So I need, 7.5 on each side, but I need room to crimp. So I'm going to do about 8 inches. And I just realized that, pretty sure those are my my good crimps that I can use with the magic crimper, so it looks like a bead once I'm done. But I'm gonna just string the soft flex through the one side, and you know, I don't want too much of a tail in here because I'm going to cut it off. So, but I could just as easily string beads onto my my soft flex that I have here, or I can leave it, you know, blank so it's more dainty. So right now I was not planning on putting more beads on there. All right. Well, that answers that question. So apparently these are not my soft flex crimps. So let me see if I can just pull that off. So I'm not going to get a cute, you know, a nice little bead looking thing. I could put a bead cap on there. All right. Rather than fight with it, I will just cut it, and then we just may have a shorter necklace. So. I don't like to waste things, but let me, here we are. I was like, I know I had my crimps out. So. I know most of you know, most of you know how to crimp, because we do it enough on the various shows. Let's see, is this long enough? Oh, I should probably just cut a new piece. So let's cut a new piece. Again, I'm going to go about 8.5 inches. Just probably better to have it a little too long. You know, obviously, if you have a specific person you're making this for, you can measure and find out what length would work best for them. But if you're just making it and you don't have anybody particular in mind, I think, like I said, about depending on the age of the kid, 14 to 16 inches is probably adequate. Let's see. I'm going to pull that in a little. Okay. So, all right, so we're using the magical crimper. Again, we want to center our bead or our crimp in the divot. We want to squeeze. Then we want to turn it sideways in the divot. Give it a good squeeze. Again, though, you want to be a little gentle, because if you squeeze it too hard and too fast, I found that they crush, and then they don't look very round. But if I gently do it and then, just turn it, I can get a much better looking result. So it's not too bad. So I will go ahead and trim that. And then, so we have two choices. I was going to put a loop on here just to make it a little fancier, but I could just as easily make the loop out of the soft flex. You just need to make sure it's big enough to get your lobster through. Just using a lobster because it's simple. Ravioli. Yep. Pendant. A hanging ornament as an earring or the main piece suspended from a necklace. Huh. So I can make my pendant into earrings and necklaces, but not bracelets. Is that what your takeaway is from that definition? I think when we make pendants, we're always thinking necklaces, but yeah, I mean, pendant earrings, certainly. You can make chandelier earrings, so why not, right? Pendant lights. Heavy pendant light over my sink. So I'm using my smaller, I do have two sizes of these magical crimpers, and I think this smaller one may be crushing my bead a little bit, or my crimp, but we'll make it look somewhat presentable here. All right. Yay. All right, so there's one side of my necklace. Let's yeah, I discovered I had this pink tourmaline, which it's a really pretty pink. I like it. So I thought that would make a nice little dainty, like I said, necklace for my child design here. So, and again, we're gonna the crimp on. I know this part's kind of boring, but because you guys all know how to do it and you've seen it before, but we're finishing off our necklace. Just having a little fun with the design today. My little niece that is the one that I make things for occasionally. Her favorite color is pink, so you never know. I might make something and give it to her with this pink. I think she's got a birthday coming up this summer, so and I think I crushed this, but you know what? Since I'm just doing this for TV, or for your video, I'm going to let it go. If I was making this for somebody, I would cut it off and fix it, but right now, I'm just gonna let it go. Like I said, if I end up giving it away, I will fix that, restring this side. And you know, I don't use a whole lot of gold, so I have these giant gold lobsters, which is kind of funny because all my other lobsters are pretty small. Not sure why I have such big lobsters. I mean, I kind of like the bigger ones. I'm going to try my other crimper, see if I get a better result. Yeah, it fits a little better in these purple handled ones, so. That one came out much better. So, see, using the right tool matters too. I'm sure most of you know that. So, I was talking about the other crimpers last time, saying that I didn't realize there was a Mighty and a Micro. Well, I now own them. That was part of my birthday gift to myself for a gift card that I got. But so now I have all the sizes. So there we go. We have, you know, a very dainty pendant here. Again, I just used through the wire that's holding the beads. I put a jump ring in there, hung that from there, and yeah, just something a little different. Maybe I'll try it on later. I think it's probably a little long for most young kids, but like I said, we could always adjust it if I knew the length for a specific person. So that is the results of our week 17 pendant design. Shout out to Heather for her project that inspired my way to come up with a bunch of beads in a pendant. I was actually wondering if, you know, if I made this long enough, if I could make it, you know, in a circle and dangle something from the middle. And then I kind of came up with this V accidentally, and I thought, well, that works. So anyways, if you like this project, please like the video, like and follow Desert Cat Creations. Appreciate all your support out there. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought the dangle kind of made it work, and with the beads colors and all that stuff. Yeah, it was just kind of fun. Like I said, it may be a little long, but I'll adjust it. So I don't know if you know, I know Janelle, you sell a lot of stuff, and I know you always have giveaways for the kids, but do you keep a lot of jewelry on your table that works for kids? Anyways, no. Well, thanks, Lorraine, and I appreciate you guys watching. Again, Sunday, I know Kay will be doing her live sale with Suzanne during my normal time. So I may wait until after that's over, do a quick live later on in the evening. I was tempted to do it Saturday, but I currently am scheduled to go take a class on Saturday, so that's not going to work for me. But I will post something and let you guys know so that I'm not trying to compete with everybody else
that's doing stuff on Sunday and Monday. And it's week 18 next week. Wow. What do you know? So, anyways, if you're catching this on the replay, please let me know. Also, you've got until Tuesday at midnight again to get in for our April drawing, or April giveaway. The giveaways vary depending on who wins. If it's a first-time winner, you will get a card holder from me for use with your decks. This is the card holder. My nephew made these for me on his 3D printer, so I think they're very cool, and I'm very proud to show them off and share them with you. If you're somebody who's won before, I will come up with something a little different and special for you, and we'll get those out to you. So we'll do the drawing probably next Thursday. No reason why we can't, because that's May 2nd. I may be going on. I will be going on a little late that day. I have a hair appointment at 11, so I may not go on until 1 or 2. I do know that Softflex now has live sales every Thursday afternoon, so you know, there's so many people doing videos that there's no way to not be in the middle of somebody else's when there's things moving around and forcing you to move around. So anyways, I will let you know. It'll probably just be about an hour late, since, like I said, I'm just getting my hair done, so I pretty much know when I'll be done. But I will let you know, and I will let you know about Sunday. Please do your posts. Thanks for all the kindness. Appreciate all you guys, and I hope to see our new members in our group participating and posting so that they can get in on the drawings. So, and we want to see more design ideas so that we can all see what we're learning and pushing ourselves. I already can tell you what I'm going to be making next week because I only have one make card left, but we will be starting anew with all our used cards, so the world's the limit on those. It could be any sort of weird combination next week, so looking forward to it. And like I said, stay tuned to the group for announcements. I'm hoping to have an announcement in the next week or two, and you guys will be the first to know. So have a great week. Please share all your creativeness online, and I will see you on Sunday.